Welcome back. We're just breezing through this hour here, and on Liquid Lunch on a Freaky Friday, we bring the guests that know where the rubber meets the road in all kinds of different areas in life. And when you get a legend, you got to bring them in here. And Ernest Lupinacci joins us now. Ernest, thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here.
Consuelo Vanderbilt,
Ernest.
another legend in her own right. And
Thank you.
I'm the only non-legend on set right now.
You're such a legend.
You, my friend. First of all, congrats.
Thank you very
Another
much.
successful Italian guy. I'm happy about that. But the big thing we're talking about today is it's the 20-year anniversary of some crazy Italian cat who talked William Shatner into coming on air and being the spokesperson for Priceline, which kind of relaunched his career, and that was you.
Well,
what happened there?
So, to be very specific, normally the ad agency or the ad guy pitches the idea to the client. In this case, the client had already picked William Shatner as their spokesman, which I personally found highly illogical, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But when I was presented with the opportunity to meet the folks at Priceline, they hadn't really figured out what to do with Shatner. Now, if you're from our generation, before YouTube and VCRs, you may have seen something on television only once and remembered it for the rest of your life. When I was a little boy, the old WPIX used to have a sci-fi awards show. And I remember seeing William Shatner singing Rocket Man live when I was about 10. And it literally the image burned itself into my retina for the rest of my life.
Well, Jennifer Bohr-Cuevas was here a little earlier. She's a social worker and a disaster psychologist. So if you need some help with
Listen, I still have PTSD from that.
yeah, from you.
But in all honesty, when they said, do you know what to do with Shatner? I said, I know what to do with Shatner. If you're going to use William Shatner as your spokesman and you've made that decision, there's really only one thing to do with William Shatner, and that's to have him sing. And at the time, the VH1 Storytellers was a very popular show.
Yep.
And everyone really likes to hear a backstory. I know I do. It was very interesting to hear the backstory on those songs. So in this case, when I first presented the idea to the client, I said, people don't actually sing songs about saving money. I mean, they like to save money, but there's no #1 hit about saving money. But there are songs like Little Red Corvette, Our House. These are the emotional things that people get attached to.
Yeah.
So I then presented this idea. So I said, William Shatner's going to get up and he's going to sing these songs, and then he's going to give these they're meant to be impromptu backstories on his emotions and his feelings. Now you have to remember, the executives from this specific company were very straight-laced. So if you buy into the Don Draper, Darren Stevens view of Mad Men, the client's always a little bit straight-laced, but the Priceline client was very analytical, data-driven before people knew what data was. And they looked at me like I was insane. But I just shrugged my shoulders and I said, well, you picked Shatner. I didn't.
Well, let me ask you this. Were they right?
To think I was insane?
Yes.
I like to think that they're mutually exclusive, meaning
okay.
I was in fact, I have been accused of being insane, but
20 years later, you couldn't have been that great.
Well, apparently insanity is good and sometimes, not the workout. I can't do the
JT, did I
insanity
tell you,
workout.
actually my dad and wife are actually best friends with his daughter. So just saying a little.
he is literally one of, it's flattered to be called a legend, but in real life, William Shatner is truly a legend.
Oh, without that.
And he came down onto the set, and we had this tense relationship for the first few days, and I always remember thinking, oh my God, now I know how Mr. Spock must have felt for all those years, because we went at it cats and dogs, but he really, he did an amazing job. And the commercials broke. And again, it's funny, when people say 20 years ago, I think they mean 1980.
Yeah.
Because I keep forgetting 20 years was only 2000.
2000, yeah.
But in 2000, it was a pre-YouTube world. It was a pre...
We're still here. I'm ringing the bell. You know what I'm saying?
It was a pre-viral video world. But when those commercials broke,
Forget about
they really broke through.
Well, how about
and
those?
we got a tremendous amount of, Saturday Night Live was parroting them.
Yep.
I was invited to do the Howard Stern show with William Shatner, and
fun.
he just went with it. We did several versions of them, and he and I still stay in touch. I mean, he really is a unique individual.
How innovative of you to think of that, honestly.
Well, in all honesty, like I said, is if you Google William Shatner and the song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, when you see it, you literally think to yourself, what was he thinking? What was going on?
What was he thinking? He had to be drinking.
And yet, it really, I remember thinking, he loved to do that. He really, he was known as, he's a classically trained Shakespearean actor.
Yep.
I know it.
But he has an incredible sense of humor. And I couldn't resist, and I couldn't imagine looking back on it not having done that.
Well, let me tell you this. You remembered the song from when you were a little kid on the WPIX Sci-Fi Award. I'm never going to forget having Ernest Lupinacci on here because you're the guy who brought Shatner back to life.
Thank you very much.
Your crazy idea.
It was so nice meeting you.
And,
Thank you.
I usually just kind of go along with it in the segments and make like I know what everybody's talking about. This one is like near and dear to me because I love Shatner. And actually, me and my partner there, Frankie, whenever we can, we try to emulate the end of Boston Legal when him and James Spader used to sit there and have a drink and, you have a shot for me. Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Oh, we have a surprise for the team.
We love the surprises.
It's not a surprise if you look at your notes.
That's okay.
Hold on.
It's work
I'm
in
going
progress.
on my
It's
fourth hour
Poor
here.
JT,
I got
it's okay.
75
You're doing
pages
great.
of notes.
You're doing great.
I don't know what you want from me.
Hello there. A rental car in Miami. I'm on it. Vacations are always a good idea. What are you laughing at? The time. Quickly! I negotiated for my mother's breast, I negotiated for my bottle, and I negotiated for my playpen. Someone needs to lighten up. I've made a few bad bargains with myself, and I sued myself twice, and won. Namby-pamby. I did set your daddy. Cupcake goes right for the eye. Bang. Don't you love to negotiate? Now you're negotiating. Gao Shenbing. Negotiation accomplished. Nice negotiating with you.
My brother, and you're behind all that stuff.
Well, that was
saying,
the
creatives,
campaign
but-
evolved, but the first round where we did the him singing, and he then, to his credit, he always would call me and thank me because he started doing, he would record albums, and he, if I remember correctly, he said, suddenly I'm getting this script for, he was in Miss Congeniality.
Yeah.
He hadn't done a feature in a while, and he really stole that picture, I think.
Oh my God,
Without a
I love
doubt.
that movie.
If you don't love William Shatner, you don't know what you're doing in life, that's for sure. But thank you so much.
Oh,
Really
thanks for
appreciate
having
you joining
me.
us.
So nice to see you.
So good
Quintzwell's
seeing
with
you.
me. If you're not aware of this, today is National Pie Day, okay? And my good buddy, former FDNY first responder Mike Burke, and owner, proprietor, partner in Danino's, the finest pizza in the country, is going to join us right after this with a potpourri and a buffet of all the best pizza slices you've ever seen right after this.